Governor Ron DeSantis stood at a podium in May 2022, pen in hand, promising to save lives. He signed Senate Bill 40 into law, a mandate designed to prevent another deadly condo collapse like the one that killed 98 people at Surfside's Champlain Towers. Safety first, he said. Protection for Florida families? But what he actually unleashed was the most catastrophic financial massacre in Florida real estate since 2008. DeSantis says he saved lives, but he just buried 1 million homeowners. Maria opened her mailbox on a Tuesday morning in Miami Beach. Inside, a letter demanding $75,000, due in 6 months. She's 71, lives on Social Security, and her monthly condo fee just tripled from $400 to $1,200. Her life savings? $42,000, and that's just the beginning. Senate Bill 4D looks simple on paper. Any building 3 stories or higher, built 30 years ago or older, 25 years if within 3 miles of the coast, must undergo mandatory structural inspections. Every condo association must complete what's called a Structural Integrity Reserve Study by December 31st, 2025. And here's the kicker buried in the fine print. Starting January the 1st, 2025, condo associations can no longer waive or reduce reserve funding for critical components. Roofs, load-bearing walls, foundations, plumbing, electrical systems, fire protection, waterproofing, windows. Full funding is mandatory. 0 exceptions. For decades, condo boards voted to kick costs down the road. If a roof needed replacing in 10 years at $100,000, owners simply voted to set aside nothing. Future buyers could deal with it. Thousands of associations across Florida did exactly this for 30, 40, even 50 years. Then suddenly, in 2025, they're required to have full reserves immediately. The financial shock was instant and catastrophic, but it gets worse, much worse. Condo owners across Florida open their mailboxes to find special assessment notices. $50,000, $80,000, $130,000 per unit, due immediately or in installments over a few months. At Regency Gardens in Orlando, residents were hit with $22,000 assessments, while monthly HOA fees nearly tripled. David and his wife bought their 2-bedroom unit in 2019, thinking they'd found their retirement home. Now, they're draining their 401k to avoid foreclosure. Their 12-year-old daughter asked why they're selling her grandmother's jewelry. Nearly 1 million condo owners statewide face these demands. Now here's the part they don't want you to see. For retirees on fixed incomes, young families barely affording mortgages, middle-class workers living paycheck to paycheck, these assessments are financial death sentences. They face impossible choices: drain retirement accounts, take on crushing debt, or walk away from properties they've owned for decades. And the numbers prove something's very wrong. In Punta Gorda, condos that sold for $839,000 at peak now struggle to move at $500,000. That's a 40% collapse. One cluster of units sat unsold for nearly a year despite multiple price cuts. When a unit finally closed at $500,000 in September, it revealed the true market floor. The remaining 6 units in that cluster are listed even lower and still sitting unsold. Here's what makes this crisis so much worse than the headlines suggest. Even compared to pre-pandemic prices, these condos are down. One sold for $550,000 in 2019, meaning current prices are 10% below pre-COVID levels after wiping out the entire pandemic boom. That's the equivalent of erasing 6 years of appreciation. Enough to buy a Lamborghini, gone. Zillow shows Punta Gorda condos down about 26% from peak. Sounds bad, but reality on the ground tells a far darker story. Listings, price cuts, stalled sales, all point to collapses exceeding 40 to 50%. And then the second wave hit. As if devastating assessments weren't enough, insurance costs compound the nightmare. Average homeowners insurance in Broward County hit $6,291 annually. Miami-Dade, $6,170. That's more than double the national average, enough to lease a luxury sedan every year. Coastal properties routinely see $10,000 to $12,000. Some waterfront condos face $20,000 annually just for coverage. 6 major carriers failed since 2022. Progressive, Farmers, Delta, all fled or dramatically reduced coverage. Citizens Property Insurance, the state-backed insurer of last resort, ballooned to over 1.3 million policies. That's nearly 1 in 8 homes statewide. But when you see who's actually buying, it all makes sense. For condo buyers, this creates impossible math. Calculate the purchase price, add special assessments averaging $75,000, add doubled HOA fees, add insurance at $8,000 annually, add property taxes, add potential future assessments when the next structural study reveals more problems. The total monthly cost becomes unaffordable even at crashed prices. So buyers walk away, listings pile up, the market freezes. This is where it turns into a nightmare. The law created a brutal 2-tier market. Newer condos built after 2000, already meeting code, face minimal assessment risk. These buildings attract whatever buyer demand still exists. Prices hold relatively steady. Financing is available. Sales close. Buildings 25 to 50 years old? Total disaster. These condos face the largest assessments because they need the most work. Roofs, plumbing, electrical, all original systems hitting end of life simultaneously. Structural studies reveal millions in deferred maintenance. Owners face assessments in the high 5 to low 6 figures. Many can't pay. They try to sell, but buyers won't touch older buildings without knowing exact assessment amounts. Lenders won't finance without reserve studies. The catch-22 paralyzes transactions. Now the same governor who promised protection is watching families lose everything he swore to defend. According to recent data, 70% of condos sold in early 2025 closed below asking price. Final sale prices averaged 4 to 5% under list, but that understates reality because those are the few condos actually selling. Thousands more sit unsold, listed at prices far above any buyer's willingness to pay. Then they found the loophole. Down the street from that Punta Gorda condo cluster sits a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, single-family home valued at $891,000 at peak. Listed mid-September at $600,000, already a massive discount. After sitting unsold, the seller slashed another $110,000 and accepted $490,000. That's a 45% decline. Not in a condo, in a single-family home. That kind of drop matches or exceeds 2008. But nobody saw what came next. The buyer pool that once powered Florida's boom has evaporated precisely when supply explodes. Canadian buyers who once dominated winter markets have disappeared. Domestic buyers from northern states see Florida's condo market and choose other destinations. International buyers concerned about assessment risks invest elsewhere. Some owners are selling Florida vacation properties and moving permanently. And here's the conspiracy nobody's discussing. The December 31st, 2025 deadline looms. Associations scrambling to complete reserve studies face a limited pool of licensed engineers and architects. Demand overwhelms supply, costs for studies soar, results reveal repair needs far exceeding initial estimates. Each new study brings fresh assessment notices. More owners face financial ruin. More properties hit the market. More buyers refuse to touch aging condos. The spiral accelerates. Robert in Punta Gorda bought his condo in 2019 for $550,000. Peak value, $839,000. He listed at $700,000 in early 2024. No offers. Cut to $650. Nothing? $600. Silence. $550. Still nothing. He finally accepted $500,000. Losing $339,000 in paper wealth. That's enough to retire 5 years early, vanished. And this is where it becomes personal. Anna Escamani, a Democratic state representative from Orlando, acknowledged the problem openly. A lot of our condo owners are on a fixed income, and their ability to meet the costs we established a few years ago is just not realistic, she said. The legislature passed amendments in 2025 allowing associations to use lines of credit or loans instead of cash reserves, providing minor relief. They allowed temporary pauses in reserve funding for up to 2 years with owner approval. Too little, too late. The damage is done. Condo values collapsed. Owners trapped. Buyers fled. An entire market sector paralyzed. All from a law signed with fanfare that nobody properly analyzed for economic consequences. Wait until you hear this. If this pace continues, Florida could become the clearest warning sign of what's ahead for overheated markets nationwide. Historically, major housing downturns often started in a handful of markets before spreading. If Florida already sees 40 to 50% price declines in condos, anyone watching broader markets should pay attention. This isn't noise. This is a signal. The governor stood at that podium promising safety. What he delivered was financial devastation on a scale not seen since the Great Recession. As winter 2025 approaches, the condo market isn't cooling, it's imploding. So ask yourself, who's really winning from this collapse? Subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking chapter.